So I'm in my car, but I'm not actually driving. I'm parked in this parking lot near some creepy woods, so that's all good. I just wanted to do a video about The Little Mermaid, and I've been trying to get it done all week, and I just haven't done it. So finally I was like, you know what? Now is the time. So I watched Little Mermaid last weekend, and I thought it was a really cute movie. Of course, this week I started looking at different reviews and stuff, and everybody has a different opinion. One person said that they thought it was too woke. Another one said that they didn't think it was progressive enough. And then the third review was like, this is the same exact movie as the one that I saw in the 80s, and nothing has changed. And I don't know why they didn't like think of anything more inventive for this particular like movie. So I don't know. For me, I'm not a snobby person when it comes to movies. Like, I'm very easy to please. Like, as long as the movie isn't boring or too cringy, I will enjoy the movie, because half the time, you know, honestly, I'm on my phone. So it doesn't take a lot for me to be entertained. But so I'm not gonna like get into like anything like cinematically or anything like that. I didn't go to film school, so I'm not gonna like really delve deep into all of that. The movie was dark as hell, but like I think that's mostly like nowadays a lot of these films seem really dark. Even on our TV, when we go just watch a movie on television, I feel like it's super dark. And at first I thought it was me and my eyesight, but then I saw like other people complaining about that too. Like Game of Thrones was super dark. So that part didn't surprise me. I also have like issues. Once again, I don't know if it's me, because I listen to loud music constantly. So I don't know if it's my hearing, but I feel like I can't hear anything anymore. So, you know, this movie was okay. I heard most of it, but with certain, it just depends on what platform you're watching, or, you know, whatever. I guess like the particular show. Sometimes I just feel like I'll listen to something and it's like they're whispering, and I'm like, is it me? Like, there's something like going on with my hearing. And then I'll like put on another show, and then they're like, yeah, Greg. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's really loud. So like, it's just, so I don't know. But this movie was like pretty dark. It was like took place under the ocean, and like it was really just like pretty dark for most of the movie. And then, like I said, the sound was like pretty good. But yeah, so the movie is basically, what was the first one? The first one came out in 1989. It's basically that movie, but with like actual people in it. And I mean, the same as the other ones. I feel like most of these like Disney movies, that's what they're doing. It's like the cartoon film, and then they like put real people in it, and like they tell the same story, and like mostly have the same songs. So I mean, at least the ones that I've seen, which I've seen like Beauty and the Beast, Cruella, and like a few others. So like, yeah, I think that's the whole Mulan. I think that's the whole formula there. But I feel like the like big thing with this movie was the fact that they had Halle Bailey play the role instead of a redheaded white lady. And that's how I found out about this movie, actually, because I don't often see previews and stuff, or I'm like always late to seeing previews and everything. And it wasn't until people were complaining like, oh my gosh, look who they cast, that I actually learned that they were having a live action remake of this movie. So I honestly, I don't see how it changes anything. It's the same exact story. It's just like a black character in the lead role, and it's also like a fictional character, so it's not like a historical movie. I didn't understand why people were so fixated on that. And I don't know, the lady who said that she believed the movie was too woke really didn't give an example of like what wokeness is, or like why she thought that the movie was woke. But I think it was because there was a black character in the lead role, and you know, some like also the queen was black, and you know, there are a few like other like all the mermaids were pretty diverse. I don't know if that's wokeness, but honestly, I think these movies are portraying how life is, like how we actually live. If you look around, most of us, if you look around at the people that you're living around, you'll see like a diverse group of people. So I don't feel uncomfortable that they changed the Little Mermaid to a black character, because the original, I think she was clear. I think they said she had blue eyes, but she was clear. Like the one written by Hans Christian Andersen, that version, I think she was clear with blue eyes. So, I mean, it's not, we never put a clear actress in the role. So I don't feel super concerned about this fictional character. I think the only time it matters to me is when there's a historical character that you're depicting. That's when I think that we should be accurate with that sort of thing. Or like specific groups, you know? So if like we're portraying people in a Russian gulag, like from, you know, the early 1900s, I would expect them to be like white people. Or if like we're talking about Zulu warriors, I would expect them to be like African people and not look like, you know, Dakota Fanning. So, I mean, stuff like that, I feel like we should be pretty accurate. But other things like fantasy world stuff, does it really matter? I think as long as you're portraying the story the way the story was written, or, you know, the way it's supposed to be portrayed, I don't think it matters who's in that role. And I think that we should err on the side of representation for most people, like the people that, like I said, that we live around, because like this world is full of different sorts of people. I think that our screens should reflect that. I think one of my favorite versions of Cinderella was the one with Brandy, where she played Cinderella. The prince was Asian, his mom was black, his dad was white. It was just like a really cool like version of that story. Not everybody had to look the same way, and it brought in every group of people, you know? And I think I like that sort of thing. It makes the story more interesting to me. So that part like never bothers me, and it's surprising to me that people are that bothered. And this isn't the only movie or story where people have gotten this upset over a character switch, because I remember when Hunger Games came out, there were people who were saying things like, I didn't think Rue was black in the book, which I think in the book it never described what Rue looked like, but they got upset because in the Hunger Games movie, Rue was played by a black character. So you may have noticed I have been using character instead of actress or person who is portraying a character. And I think I do that a lot throughout this video, as well as use the word like. So sorry about that. And they said that they didn't feel as sorry. Well, one person said they didn't feel as sorry when she died. And I was like, that's such a weird take on that. For you not to have empathy for another human being's story because they look different from you. Like, I wouldn't admit that to anybody. That's kind of embarrassing. So it's just stuff like that. Or Wildcrats, which is another one. They switched from a white character who was voicing Cokie to a black person voicing her. And I was reading reviews and people said, oh, I will never watch it again. You know, this is woke, or this is, you know, you're changing things and it's racist. But I don't actually think that that's racist. I think that she's one of the only black characters on this cartoon show. So to have her voiced by a black person instead of a white person imitating what they believe a black person would sound like seems like a better move, in my opinion. You know, and I do act. I am an actress. But the thing is this, like, you know, if there's a role and they say, we want an East Asian, we have an East Asian cartoon character and we want somebody to voice her character, it's not going to be me. You know what I mean? Like, why not give an East Asian actor that chance at a role? Especially because there are not as many roles for Asian character, like Asian actors and actresses. Like, why not give them the opportunity to portray that character when they're, you know, to me, it's a no-brainer. But people get really upset over this sort of thing, like, especially just fake characters, that it's so surprising to me. And of course, I prefer the intentional inclusion of like people of color, like scripts that are written for people of color to play roles, you know, just because like yeah, it's like a lot, I think, better to portray these stories and to actually write these stories with people of color in mind than to like have just, you know, just put people in roles. But I do like that filmmakers are I guess, diversifying their stories, and you know, like these roles, like, oh, like a Hispanic person can play this role, or like, you know, an Asian person can play this role, Black person can play this role. Because the thing is, like, with a lot of these movies, like I said, it's not like historical dramas or anything. Like, anybody like who's able to act can play the role, and it's nice to see a diverse group of people in these roles. But yeah, of course, I like storylines that were written for people of color to be in those roles. So I hope that, you know, my view is always like, we need to continue to tell our stories, especially people of color. We need to write our own stories. We need to portray our own stories, because that way we're being authentic, and it's not somebody writing, okay, this is what I think this character would be feeling, or this is what I believe this group would be doing or thinking or whatever. It's just actually coming from a person from that group. So I think people of color, women, it's nice for like us to tell our own stories, because that way, like I said, I think it's just a more authentic way of telling a story. And you know what? Like, even the people who are saying things are too woke or they don't like certain things, like, tell your story then. Like, write a movie the way you want it written, with like more white people, and like maybe like the people of color, I guess, are background characters. Maybe it's all men in the story or whatever. Write your story the way you want to write it. Gather the money and make your movie. I mean, it's the advice that I give to other actors and people of color. You know, just, we need to make our own stuff. So you know what? Make your own stuff. I don't really feel, everybody says that Hollywood is too woke or too progressive or whatever, which I disagree with. I've never thought that Hollywood was that progressive, because Hollywood is a money-making machine. So they're never going to put out anything that like people might not like go buy tickets for, because that would suck. Like, that, you put out money, you put out so much money, especially for these like blockbuster movies, that you want to make a return on your investment. So no, you don't put out things just to shake people up. You put out things that you believe people will actually go buy tickets to see, and you keep your, like, you know, finger on the pulse of whatever is going on in our current events, like whatever people are into. You keep an eye on the cultural zeitgeist. I'm like super sweating because it's hot, and I turned my car off because it's making a whining noise, which I got to go figure out. But so sorry, like super sweating right now. But yeah, they're not going to put out a movie that they're not going to make their money back on. And that's why, like, a lot of times, like, they'll go the safe route with movies, you know. And so it's so funny to me when people say like, oh, woke Hollywood, or, you know, they're doing this and doing that. Well, they're doing this and doing that because people will buy tickets to go see it, you know. I think that these movies are reflective of the society that we live in, and I'm for that. You know, especially being, I'm a Black woman. It's nice to see Black women on screen in these different roles, in these like really amazing, like lately, like super diverse roles. Like, not just playing the sassy Black friend, not just being like the person who gets shot or killed first in a movie to show like, oh, we're in a dangerous situation. Like, seeing like, not just Black women, Black men, Black people, and like seeing more Asian people in roles, that's been incredible. You know, these major movies coming out, especially like when they say like, oh, we don't know, like that's what I was saying when I said like, I don't feel like Hollywood is that progressive, because what, you know, they used to say, oh, well, these sorts of people are not gonna garner enough attention, or these people are not gonna sell tickets. You know what I mean? And now look, like, people are buying tickets. People want to see these films. People want to see different people's perspectives and experiences and lives. Like, that's, you know, what we're looking for now. And to me, is like a deeper story than the ones that we've been seeing for decades and decades, right? So, but there's room, and this is my main thing. Like, there's room for everybody. You know, like, I feel like making more diverse films is not going to take away from anybody else. You know, it's not like, oh, I get a role, so you're not able to. Or like, you know, like there's like some like limited amount. I mean, in Hollywood, of course, like it's, you know, everybody's like fighting to get these roles, but like there's space for everybody. And like I said, everybody should be able to tell their stories. So anyway, that's my take on The Little Mermaid. I rambled a lot, so hopefully you got something from it. But it's a good movie, you know, like a decent Disney movie. And apparently it's doing really well in the box office. So, did I say box office? Box office. Sorry, I'm in a hot car and somebody has like driven by and looked at me, so I'm sure I look extremely creepy. But anyway, that's it. That's my take on The Little Mermaid. Oh, and like also, oh my gosh. Also, please subscribe. I don't always do videos from my car and I'm not always sweaty. And also, I do different videos. I know when I started my YouTube channel, people were telling me that I should, you know, kind of fixate on one topic and stick to that topic and everything. I don't know if I could do that. You know, like my personality type, like I'm just interested in so many different things. Mostly I do interviews with interesting people. I have a podcast, and so I interview them there, and I also have, you know, the video footage for YouTube, and I also just want to talk about different things, different movies, different whatchamacallit, just like, you know, like kind of a commentary thing. So if you're into that, please subscribe, and if you really like this video, please share and comment. Why don't you comment whether or not you've seen The Little Mermaid and what your thoughts are. All right, have a great day, have a great weekend. The sea, wish I could